famous psychologist by the name of Carl Jung believed that neurosis, conditions like anxiety, depression, guilt, and shame, can lead people to lose confidence in themselves. He thought that many people in the West are neurotic because they avoid life's challenges and let fear limit their potential. Jung also noticed that many neurotics blame their past, especially their childhood, for their problems. In fact, therapists often encourage this by leading their patients to explore past traumas, thinking that it's going to help them in some way. But Jung argued that constantly looking back into the past is the wrong approach to have. Instead, he believed that overcoming neurosis is best achieved by focusing on the present and the future. You're not going to want to miss this message, so don't go anywhere. And psychiatrists out there can agree that a troubled childhood can cause neurosis. Parents who are themselves neurotic or don't provide proper emotional support often create neurotic children. However, as these children grow up, they must learn to take responsibility for their own lives. As Jung said, the real therapy only begins when the patient sees that it's no longer father and mother who are standing in the way, but himself. Getting over the guilt and the shame and the depression and anxiety and other negative emotions that we carry requires personal responsibility in the present. You can't change the past, nobody can, but you can decide to take responsibility for how you think and how you feel today. How you thought or felt yesterday is not relevant. That is from the past. What we're focusing on is what we are right now and who we will become in the future. Carl Jung believed that understanding the past isn't always a necessary thing for healing. He compared it to someone trying to figure out when they got a bacterial infection instead of focusing on how to get better from that infection right now. Jung stated, "The questions when and how the infection occurred are totally irrelevant." The same holds true of the neuroses. Excessive self-analysis, especially dwelling on the past, can make people more miserable. Our memories can be distorted by our current feelings. Depressed people might remember their childhood as worse than what it was, while happy people might remember it more fondly. Furthermore, misremembering the past can lead to justifying current problems instead of just solving those problems. So let's spend a moment to think about repressed trauma and memory. Research shows that people rarely forget traumatic experiences. Instead, they often can't stop thinking about them. So digging into our past to constantly try and find those repressed memories might not be as helpful as some believe that it is. Jung proposed a constructive approach. He proposed another way that we can heal from our neurosis. This approach focuses on present problems and future goals rather than past causes. He believed that aiming for psychological wholeness, developing all of our potential, can help heal neurosis. This process is called individuation, and it involves setting practical goals that push us out of our comfort zone and break free from the past habits that have consumed us for so long. And this is very reasonable because neurotics often have bad habits that keep them stuck in a rut. Jung emphasized the importance of replacing our bad habits with good ones through practice. He said, "Habits are won only by exercise. The patient must be drawn out of himself into other paths." You know, the Bible talks about this as well. God's word speaks of emptying yourself in the book of Philippians chapter 2. Just as Christ came down from heaven and emptied himself by taking on the form of a servant, we can humbly acknowledge that we need to deny ourselves as well. We need to become obedient to God's will for our lives. Attaining that higher state of being is what Carl Jung called individuation. The Bible calls it sanctification. It's leaving the old paths of sin and negativity and finding a way to renew ourselves from within. And then the new thoughts bring about a new way of life. As Romans chapter 12 verse 2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds." We don't find this new way in the past, but in the present, and of course in the future. Carl Jung argued that therapists who focus too much on analyzing a patient's past can often make their patients worse off. This approach, called the reductive therapeutic approach, encourages patients to dwell on past traumas and negative experiences. While it aims to ultimately uncover the roots of the neurosis, it usually backfires and causes more harm than good. When therapists continually direct patients to revisit their childhood and their past traumas and difficulties, it can foster a dependency within themselves, where they necessarily rely upon these narratives. Patients might become fixated on their past suffering and use it as an excuse for not addressing their current issues in the here and now. Jung noted, there is scarcely a neurotic who does not love to dwell upon the evils of the past and to wallow in self-commiserating memories. This focus can prevent patients from taking responsibility for themselves and from paying attention to their present actions and choices, which is absolutely crucial for healing. Memories are not always accurate, first of all. They are influenced by our current emotional state. Depressed or anxious individuals might remember their past as worse than what it was, reinforcing their negative outlook. They might also create false memories to justify their current behavior. This can lead to an endless loop of blaming the past. Rather than making positive changes in the present and making an effective difference in the here and now. Jung believed that the key to overcoming neurosis lies in addressing ourselves in the here and now. By focusing on the present, therapists can help patients build constructive habits and set meaningful goals that lead to genuine progress. Jung believed that focusing on today and setting new goals can cure neurosis. Dwelling on the past might give excuses for neurotic behavior, but it won't solve the problem. As Jung put it, it is only in the today, not in our yesterdays, that the neurosis can be cured. By shifting our focus to the present and the future, we can work towards overcoming neurosis and achieving psychological wholeness. And this is exactly what the Bible teaches. In Isaiah's prophecy, chapter 43, verses 18 and 19, he says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." And then he says in chapter 65, verse 17, "See, I will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind." God is able to create a new world for us, and he's able to create a new life for us in the here and now. Each and every one of us, and each and every day can be a new experience, but we must be willing to let go of our past and stop dwelling on the negative things that were said and done to us before, or stop dwelling on the things that we have done in the past and shift our focus to the present and the future. Then renewal is possible. If you do this, your future will be bright and you will achieve wholeness. I promise you that. I'm going to close this by mentioning what it says in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verses 25 through 27. "Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet and be steadfast in all your ways." I want to thank you so much for watching today. And if there is any way that I can help you, please reach me on my website, marriageranger.com. God bless.